help you to execute or consume any reusable scripts. For example, okay, now I am using incident system. Okay, we have an incident table, and then on the incident table, we have um, created a field called a phone number or an email ID, okay, of a requester. Okay, so one of the use cases like either from the client side or from the server side. Okay, you do not want to script everything on the first execution script. Rather, you want to create a utility in the background and keep a script in the utility and pass on some parameters from the client side to the backend server side. And your script include like your utility will perform the required job and then will give you the output and you consume that output from the client side. Okay, so that is how the script includes will help you to execute any reusable components. Okay, for example, here we have a client. Okay, so now let's say I'm selecting Abel Tutor. When I'm selecting Abel Tutor, okay, immediately under Abel Tutor, assuming that I have a field called phone number. Immediately that phone number should be displayed. Okay, you don't have to write anything. Okay, so now let's create a field and then see how it happens. There are various ways to do that. Okay, various ways to do that. We are also going to talk about best practice also. Okay, now configure form layout. And I'm going to create a field under caller called phone number. Okay. So you need to know which one is the best option to do according to the requirement. Okay, so let's assume that I have a created a sorry parent. No, I'm creating a phone number. Okay, calling same that phone number and it will be a string. Okay, let it be a 40 characters is enough. Okay, add it and take your phone number right below your call. Okay, now I have a phone number. So requirement here is the real-time requirement here is whenever you are selecting this requester name, okay, immediately you want to get the phone number populated here. Okay, there are various ways to do this one. Okay, remember now I can use dot walking also to get the value. Okay, so wherever possible, you should be using dot walking feature to get any client related information. But remember, scripting includes capability is not only to get the caller information. At any point in time on the server side, you have, you want to execute something and then you want to consume, then that's where you will be using this script include features. Okay, now here, if I want to get the caller number, I can get it through the dot walking also. Go to configure form layout. So caller is a reference field. If it is a reference field, I can walk into that reference field. See, this is a caller. Being it's a reference field, you can see it is visible in a green color. And when you selected a any reference field, you will see this enhancement box. Okay. If I select non-reference field, it will go off. If I'm selecting this one you will be able to expand it. Now if I'm expanding it, it goes into the caller table. Caller is coming from sysuser table, right? And it will go down with a dot. We call it as a dot walking. I can go to that particular dot and then go to phone number. Okay, let's say I want to get a mobile number or an employee number or a phone number, whatever you want, you can get it. Where is that? Mobile phone. Okay, I want to get that mobile phone, take it towards right side, and then I'm not creating a field, rather I am selecting it from the available table. So this is called dot walking. You can see caller dot mobile phone. Okay, now with this particular caller dot mobile phone, if there is any value available for system administrator, that will come up. You can see now, select it, create an open window, and then select Abel Tutor. Open window, add mobile number to this particular one, 1211111. Save it. Abel Tutor add 22222 just to differentiate. Save it. Now go back to your incident screen. I'm going to select now system administrator. Okay. If I'm selecting system administrator, this user select administrator. Okay. Now automatically that number have come up. Similarly, I'm going to select Abel. Abel number will be automatically will be populated. I'm not doing anything. Okay, am I using this particular feature through the dot walking? But remember now, if I'm modifying this particular one, now I'm changing it to 3333. Okay, and saving it. Now, if I'm saving this particular mobile number on the mobile, on the incident table, okay, for Abel tutor, you see that this has been updated. Now, my requirement is not like this. Okay. I don't want this number to be updated by anybody. Okay. Just a reference you want to display it automatically. But if somebody is modifying it, I don't want to allow this to be modified. So this is where my dot working field will not be applicable. Okay. So that is why I want to create a standalone field. Okay. Like this, and you enter any number, and having this number updated will not be impacting on the backend table. Okay, so that's where I'll not dot walking field will not be applicable in this client requirement. So what I will be doing, I will be removing this, and then you can achieve it through the scripting. Okay, configure form layout. Okay, remove that caller dot mobile number because my dot walking feature is not applicable. Save this one. Okay, now after saving it, okay, I have this phone number. This is my custom field. You can see this is started with U underscore. Anything that is starting with U underscore, that is a custom one, which means we have done that. Now, when I'm selecting Abel tutor, okay, when I'm selecting Abel tutor, so my number should be coming automatically here. Similarly, if I'm selecting administrator, okay, if I'm selecting administrator, so my value also should be coming here. Select admin. Selected. Is saying reference field. Why? Okay. Admin. Select parent. System administrator should come. Why it is not coming? System. Click for this. System. There is a value. Why it is not coming? Okay. Search for it. Name is this. Search for this. What happened to this column? Reload it. This is active. What is the reference field? I'm just checking it's a basic thing. Why that system administrator is not coming? Let me just check this. On the reference qualification, there is nothing conditioned to display or undisplay values. Simply this is not coming. There is no condition here. You can see that. Getting on. For example, why to waste time? We will use Abel Tutor as one example, and then we will use another example called a. We will use Emilio, okay, as a secondary example. Let's change Emilio's mobile number to 44444 for testing purpose. Okay, so I have now created Abel and then Emilio. Okay, so now if I'm selecting these values, so immediately according to that, like this phone number should be populated. I can achieve this one because what you're doing, you are changing the field value. So you can execute a script to get the value. That is like what script that you can execute when you are changing a field. Yaman?
On field.
What kind of script that you can execute here? When you are changing a field, we want to execute a script which can be executed.
Onload.
No, it's a client script that you can execute, and then type of client script that you can execute is on change client script. Okay, because you are changing a field value, so that is why you can execute a client script, because there is no other script will be useful if you want to execute on the client script whenever the field change. So you want to get value of caller. So that is my script name. On table incident that I want to execute this script. On incident, I want to execute this script. And what type of script it is? On change, you have to select which field you are changing. This is called caller. And here, when I'm doing this one, like you can execute this script here. So what kind of script that you can execute? You can execute on change client script. So what do you want to get? You want to basically get the value of a field. Okay, the value of a field. So what will be the field value here? So being this is a reference field, what will be stored? Can you explain? Team, in the reference field, what will be stored? Rani?
I'm sorry, sir. Could you repeat the question?
In the reference field, what will be stored? So this is a caller is a reference field, or what kind of field it is?
It is a reference field, sir.
So in the reference field, what will be preserved? What kind of value it will be preserved in the reference field?
The value from the table which we are trying to get the value from.
Is it the value or is it the sys of that record?
This side of the record.
Correct. So reference field always stores the sys. When I say sys, what it means? It will be storing the entire object of the particular sys, right? It will be having the entire object of the particular sys. So now on the client script, what kind of a glide system component that I can use? I can use G_form, right? I can use G_form as a my client side glide system component. So what I can do, I can say variable phone number example is equal to G_form. Here I can get the reference of this particular field. What field it is? It is the caller field. It is the caller field. I can get the reference, right? So I can get the reference of the caller field. Now what will be saved in this phone number? Is it the sys of this one or not? Yes. What will be saved? Because what kind of field caller ID it is? Team, being this is a, you can check that, like you can set an alert value of reference. You can see what do we have right now. This is structured under and declared a variable called phone number. Save this one and test it. I wrote a on change client script and then I'm setting an alert to identify what it is stored here. Now reload this one to associate that client script. Okay. And then select to Amelio example. What is that? What do you have? The object of this particular value. What did it stored? It stored the object of that particular value. Now, in my second step, okay, in my second step, I want to set the value for this particular value, field. What is that field name? Phone number, right? Show phone number. This is the field value. Copy that. And G underscore form set value, okay, into this field. And then this is where I can use the dot working of that particular one, the phone dot, okay. And on the back end, what is the mobile phone number field? This one. So I'm using dot working, but in the script, I'm not actually copying anything directly using a dot working, but I'm using a script to populate into my custom field. Now save this one. Okay, now reload this client script. Select Amelio. Now object is identified. And now you can see the value have come up here. Right? So this is how you will use G underscore get reference to get the value. But again, remember the ServiceNow is not recommending to use G underscore form get reference. This is not a best practice. Using the get reference, you will be able to get the complete object of this particular one. And then from the object, you can navigate and then get the value. But ServiceNow is not recommending this practice. Okay. And in this place of G underscore get reference, ServiceNow is saying you build a utility in the background and then call that utility and then make an asynchronous call from ServiceNow so that you will not be putting a button on the system. So it will be easy. Now I have used this particular feature to get the phone number. But remember, ServiceNow is not recommending. Okay, so ServiceNow is saying that this is not a best practice. So let's not use this practice to get the value of it. So rather than that, what ServiceNow is telling us is you need to use a proper methodology that is called reusable a reusable method. That is you need to build a utility in the background and then call that utility. By calling that utility, you get your job done. So that is what ServiceNow is recommending. So the utility name is a scripting flow. You can build a utility and then using that utility, you will be able to call that utility any number of times from any place and then you will be able to achieve your job. Okay, so now how to build that utility? Okay, and then what is that utility name is it's a scripting tool and then call that utility from your from any place and then you will be able to achieve your job. So this ServiceNow is saying this is not a best practice. Okay, calling a value using the get reference is not a best practice, or that is why ServiceNow is asking you to build a utility and then use that utility to get your job done. I have inactivated this. Now how to build that utility? Script include. You can go to script includes under system definitions. Okay, so under system definitions you can build a utility. This utility can be called from your client side any number of times you want. Okay, so now what my utility name is, I want to get employee phone number. Okay, employee number or phone number. You can say whatever it is. Okay, employee phone number. I want to name that utility. Okay, so after calling that employee phone number, okay, now automatically there are certain classes will be created. Now how this utility will be used? Do you want to use this utility only from the server side? Like a UI action, you want to use this utility from the client side also. in that case, you can say this utility is client callable. This is a client callable utility. If not, if you are not using this utility to call it from the client side, you can remove this. If it is a client callable one, you can say client callable like this. Now in this one, you will have to write a script. As I said, like this is a purely development activity. Okay. You want to achieve something through the administrator activity, you can use a dot working and then get the job done, but it has a limitations. Now that is where we are moving into development. And this is where you will write a function. That function will be called from the client side. Okay. What do you want to get? You want to get, okay. You want to get employee. Okay, you want to get an employee phone number. That is our requirement. Okay, so I want to get an employee phone number. So what I'll do is I'll say that get employee phone number. This is my function. You just need to define a small function here. Okay, so this function now will help you to execute a script. Okay, the function will always start with braces. Okay, now I'm calling this function from where on the client side. When I'm saying I'm calling this function from the client side, what I have to do, I have to supply some values. Okay, I need to supply some values into this function. Otherwise, this function has no meaning. Okay, this function has no meaning unless until I supply some value into this function. This function has no meaning. So what do I want to supply? Okay, I want to supply from the client side. Okay, I want to supply. Okay, my customer is giving something. Okay, given by my customer is saying that like, given by, okay, what my customer is giving. This means like, something that is supplied from the client side at the time of execution. Okay, at the time of execution, whatever you have supplied, so that will be treated as your, okay, that will be treated as your this. Okay, I provided something, so that this will be taken care into this parameter. So this is a function, so I will need to say comma. Now, what is this talks about? This talks about I supplied from the client side. Okay, get parameter from the client side. Okay, get parameter. Okay, there is a some parameter that I'm providing called this form. Okay, and underscore GPy. So this is the parameter that I will be supplying from the client side. I will consume that, and using this particular one, okay, using this particular one, I will be able to get my job done. Now, ideally, now in this current example, what do I want to get? I want to get the caller's phone number. So what will I be ideally need to supply? I need to supply the caller's SysID. Only then I will be able to get the phone number, right? By gliding into this particular one. So my assumption is, for a moment, this is my assumption. My assumption is I'm going to get the SysID of this particular record. For a moment, I'm going to assume that I'm going to get the SysID of this record. If I get the SysID, I will be gliding into this particular one and then get the phone number and supply it back to client side. That is what I will be doing. Now, assuming that I received that SysID from the client side, okay, okay, if there is a value in the SysID, there is any value in the SysID, then execute something. What do you want to execute? You want to glide into this particular table. You want to glide into user table. So to do that, okay, I will be gliding into my sys user table, sys underscore user. I will be gliding into my sys underscore user table. So I glided. So how do I glide into this using this particular SysID? So next thing I will be querying. After gliding into it, after querying, so the next step is query gr.add query. So when you are querying, what do? You will query your table SysID. I mean, record SysID is equal to, this is the value right now you have, assuming that this is supplied by client and it contains SysID, and now you have SysID. And what do? The next step is you will be completing the query. You will be completing query. I completed query. So my next step is, if there is any data in this particular query, So what I will do, I will run a loop while gr.next. Okay, I will run into a loop. If there is any value, so the next step is I will be saying that like variable employee number or a phone number, whatever you can call. So variable e number, employee number is equal to employee contact number is equal to gr dot. Now, what is the value that is storing? This is a mobile number. Okay, the value stored in that particular table is this one. Now I collected my employee number into this one. So my next step is like, I just need to return it to back. I need to return it to client side. Okay. Return this value to client side to consume. Okay. It says like, return this value back to consume. So my job is done. Okay. So in my, if there is any value, so what I have done, I have done in this particular one. So I completed my script. Okay. So now this one says like, if there is any value that you are returning, and if there is no value, okay. If there is any value, you are returning employee number. If there is no value, what do? You will return null. Okay. You will just return nothing. So it has nothing. If there is any value, you will send it. And if there is no value, you will send return. So done. So which means like, now your value will be coming into this one and that will be supplied back to my client side. So I'm saving them. My utility is completed. Now this utility can be used from any place. This utility can be used from any place, which means I can use it on my incident table. I can use it on my service portal or whatever, whatnot. I can do it anyway. Now backend reusable client is completed. So what I have to do, I have to build my front end client side script to invoke it. Okay, now I need to write a client side script. Similarly, just like the way we did it. Okay, get phone number via scripting tool. Okay, so what is the table that is actually going to trigger? It is an incident table. Okay, I typed it. Now select it. On the incident table, I want this to be working on all. And what kind of script is on change client script? And I want to do it on column. Now this is where you need to logically understand what you have done in the beginning. And now you need to relate. I want to use my scripting tool. Right? I want to use my scripting tool. And for the scripting tool, what is the input? For the scripting tool, what is the input? Given by. So I need to give that input into my script include and then ask my script include to process it. And then if the script include gives some value back to it and I need to consume it. So there are three things. So step one, build an input to pass on. Build an input to supply into SI. Okay. Second step, invoke your script include. Okay. And then consume the output from script include. Output from script include. So it has three steps. Remember now step one. Okay. Step one is, prepare that input to supply. Okay. Now what is the input for my script include? Script include is going to use a table, which is sysID, and then giving me the output. So this sysID is going to be the input for my script include. So to do that, now sysID is captured on the reference field, right? How do you get that? Just get the value of it. Okay. Variable. Okay. Variable, employee phone number or whatever, like, or else I'm saying like, G by, right? Given by. This is going to be my input. Variable G by is equal to G underscore form. Okay. Get value of caller ID. So this is the input that I'm preparing. So caller ID, copy the value, save side, Now go to your concept. I've supplied it. Now, as you know that this is being a reference field, it always captures the SysID. I'm going to pass on that SysID to my backend table. Now, the next step to invoke this script include is this is the syntax. You need to remember the syntax. Okay, variable glide ajax. So the glide ajax is the syntax for invoking your script include. So anything, any utility you want to invoke from client side, you need to use this glide ajax to invoke it. So glide ajax. Okay, so what is the I want to invoke my script include using glide ajax, right? What is the name of that script include? This is the script include. I need to supply that script include name here. So first thing I have invoked. After invoking, what is the next step I need to invoke? Within this glide ajax, this is the my function I need to invoke. This is my function that I need to be invoked. So step 2 in this one. Okay. GA dot add param. Okay, this is a parameter syntax. Add param, and the next one that need to be invoked is sys. Okay, param. Okay, sys param underscore. The function name that I'm going to invoke is this is the function name. Get employee number. See, you can logically relate it. So the first thing I have invoked the script include, and second thing I am invoking the function within it. Okay. If my function need to be executed as expected, what should I do? I need to supply. I have invoked my function, but function to process and then give the value. I need to provide this particular sys parameter, right? I need to provide this sys parameter value. So the next third step is I need to provide that sys parameter value. Okay, so the next one, GA add parameter. So the next parameter that I'm going to add is this is my function name. Sorry, this is my input name that I need to provide. And what is the input that I'm going to provide? This is the input that I'm providing. So what system will do? First, it will invoke my utility, and then it will invoke my function, and then within the function, whatever the input that I have provided, I just invoke it. Now, so the next one is close this particular utility. Get XML and just get the fallback response. Okay, so parse response. Okay, so what happens is it will be executing this XML and then it will be parsing my response. So I'm just going to close it. So here, after I received this particular response, I need to process it and then consume it. To do that, I need to call a function. What is the function name can be? This is the, I'm just giving a function name like this. Okay, and let's say the function is invoked. Okay, so function name, and then it should be followed by braces. Function name followed by braces. So get some name for this function. And then function should be started out with the braces, and then you need to execute whatever the script you want to do it here. So whatever it is processed in this particular one, and then that will be structured under my answer. Okay, that will be my answer. So I'm going to receive this answer from my script include. So in this answer, like you need to remember this particular syntax. Okay, you need to remember this. There is no other way. Okay, this is a syntax. It talks about like getting the document element of your desired attribute. Okay, so this one will contain response XML. So it will contain the whole body will be under response XML. Okay, in this response XML, what you are going to get is like you are going to get the element of that particular document. Okay, so you need to remember this document element, and then get the attribute value of whatever you want. Okay, attribute value, and that's all structured under your answer. Okay, so this is the syntax. If there is any mistake, you need to copy paste it. So the value of it will be coming and then stored here. So once this is done, what you will be doing is you will be setting your current form value, g underscore form set value. Okay, now the answer is coming and you want to set the phone number on this particular field. So this is the last step. I want to copy. Okay, I want to go to the client script. I want to copy into this particular field the output from this answer. This is the answer I want to copy. Okay, so this is how, so this is a variable one. So for a temporarily, it will be structured into this. So that is why it is giving me, and then close this loop. So now what I have done, I have prepared the input and I invoked my script include and then invoked function. I passed on my input into my value to process here for processing. After it supplied some answer, I'm consuming that answer and setting it to my phone number. This is what I have done step by step. Now save this. Okay. Now I have created a script include. I have created a client script to invoke in my script include and test it. Now reload it. Now reload it. Okay, right now it's Abel Tutor. Change it to MLE. Saying something on change client script error. Cannot read properties of undefined reading apply function. Somewhere some syntax is missed. Go to this one. There is some syntax issue. Okay. We need to make sure we are properly using every single sysparam. Okay, this is fine. And then glide Ajax. Okay. Okay, it's a new glide Ajax. Okay. Just like a glide record, it's a new glide Ajax. That is the syntax that I missed. Test it. Family. Okay, it just executed, but there is no output. No output, nothing happened. We don't know what happened. Let's select Abel. Okay, no, there is no output coming up. We'll see whether my script include executed or not. You can use your, testing method gs.info to validate. Testing script include executed. So this is my syntax. I just want to make sure this is triggered. Copy it. Okay, if there is any value, please and then the value is coming or not, we'll check this. This is my step one. Step one executed or not, we will see, and then go to query here, step two, and you can say gr.get row count, just to ensure whether this is successfully executed or not. And then the third step is the value should have come up. Okay, it is saying unreachable, so put it before here. And then step three, other value has come up or not. Let's check this. Okay, I'm just making sure some debugging statements are properly placed. Okay. Now what should happen? My script include should be invoked and then it should come up. Let's say go to Emily again. Emilia. So go to your logs, system logs. Go to system logs and check whether script is executed or not. a lot of errors. My script include itself is not worked on. Test. No. Come to this testing step. No, my script include itself is not invoked. You can see there's no log statement is filed, which means my script include itself is not properly triggered. Okay, which means like, there is an issue with my client script itself. Okay, here itself, the script include did not work. Okay, so ideally, like, it should have been properly structured here. Let's check out. The glide ajax call is proper. It is calling properly the value. Till here it is good. And then add parameters. Okay, param, P-A-R-A-M. Okay, syntax is good. And sys param. Okay, syspam. Okay, and syspam. Okay, fine. This syntax is good. Okay, now the next one is given by. There is a small spelling mistake which is closed. You can test it now. And this is a capital G by, and here like what is there on the we copied it capital G by, that is fine. Now test it one more time. Change it to reload. Reload and then change it to some other value. Amelia. I have done this. Now go to log statements. See, you can see step 1. Okay, sysID has come up. That is what I supplied. Fine. Step 2, the script include executed. Perfect. And step 3, it didn't come through. Okay, step 3, there is a failure in the step 3. Now here, like, there is no output also. Why there is a failure in the step 3? Let's check that. Okay, now go to this one. Okay, here script include executed. And what is the value in the logs? There should be 1. Yeah, 1 record is resulted. That is also good. Now in the third step, okay, this one, gr.next. gr.next is the right statement. Okay, now step 3, fine, while gr.next, and then I want to go into this one and get this value, employee number. Now test it. Now save this one again. See, I'm fixing these through my debugging process. Now going to save this one just to reload it and then select it to Abel. You can see the value has come up. Now change it to Amelia. Change it to Amelia. Value is changed. Can you notice that? Now script include is properly working. Now if you go into my debugging statement, properly that is working. You can see that is properly working, and then I'm also getting the value as a step 3. So it's a fairly simple one. As a developer, you need to structure it according to your requirement. First, if you're building a utility, you need to know what you are actually feeding into your utility. So you need to have in your mind, in this case, I'm building a utility thinking that I'll be receiving some sysID of a user record. Then, I will be invoking this function and I will do my job. Okay. Similarly, on the client side, I'm going to invoke and I'm going to pass on those values and then use this particular client script to consume this one. So this one, remember now, as I said, script include can be reusable, right? So for example, now yesterday I built a service catalog. Okay, we built a service catalog here. maintain items. Maintain items. So in this maintain item, let's assume that I'm going to say, request for a new email. Example, this one. Take a for a moment, like take this as an example. Okay. So in this example, let's say I'm having two fields called employee and employee number. Example, let's say I'm going to create, like I will remove this one, I'll create two fields. Okay. Saying that employee name and then employee phone number. Remove this and save this one. Create two fields on the catalog. Okay. Let's just say have it saved. And then I'm going to create two new fields. Okay. What are the two fields? Create two fields, requester and requester phone. So let's example create a requester. And then this will be a reference field. Comes from sys_user table. Sys_user I typed. Doing sys_user and save this. Save this. And then create another field called phone number. Create another field called phone number. Okay. See, copy this, backend, I mean, we will be using it in code. Copy this phone number, just like, for my advantage, I'm copying it. I'm having phone number. And similarly for requester also, the backend value is going to be same. We will be always like going to take backend values, right? So for a requester, backend value is something different. So copy that. Now this is my backend value. So here now my requirement here is now go to service portal. Service portal. Service portal home. And what is the catalog name? Request for new email. Okay. I'm going to open this request for email. It will be under catalog. Probably it is under email. Now my requirement here is the customer says if you have selected requester and then requester phone number should be auto populated. Okay. If you have selected Abel, you have to get Abel's phone number automatically. Similarly, Emilia is selected. So then, the number should be automatically populated. Now you have already built a script include. You know that you as a developer, you have already built a script include. You can reuse this script include. What I will have to do, all I have to do is I need to create this client side script. Okay. For my, this is my client side script. So the same stuff I need to be doing it for my service catalog. Okay, simple. Go and then copy the script. Okay, just like go and copy the script and then go to your catalog, and this is your catalog. In catalog also for a client side like operations, if you want to make a field read only, read write, and then also if you want to make a execute a client script, you can do that. Even the UI policies and then catalog client scripts are also available on the portal side. So you can run UI policies and you can run client scripts exclusively for a portal if you want to make any end user experience level changes. So in this case, I'm going to write a client script. Get requester phone number. So this is my script. What kind of script it is? It is a on change client script. I'll say that this is on change client script. When do I want to run this? Whenever requester number is changing. So I'll be simply executing this script. In this case here, I know the variable name is different, right? The variable name is different. So whatever the variable is here, like, and I'll be supplying the variable name here, and then I want to set the output into my phone number. In this case, the output is this one. So I change this particular one, and the rest of the code is same. I'm going to use the same utility and get everything done. All I'm going to do is I'm changing the input, and I'm going to change the output, save this one, and then we'll go to your catalog, and then you are done. And this is your catalog, and refresh it. Okay, so you can use the same backend utility any number of times, okay, according to your requirement. Now I'm changing this to Abel Tutor, so automatically the script is working. The background utility is working. So the script includes, now I hope you understood, the script includes are reusable components. Once you have developed it, you can use it any number of times. All you need to do is you need to provide proper input, and then you need to know where exactly you are going to paste that output into your screen. Okay, so typically script includes are asynchronous calls, which means like, they will be putting no pressure on the system. They will be working at the free time. If you want to make, any synchronous call, then you can say wait, then, it will have the script include executed. Only then you will be able to take your cursor, moving to the next step. So it is up to our design what kind of a call that we want to make, whether we want to make a synchronous call, whether we want to make a asynchronous call. This is going to be our interview question for a developer position. How do you make a synchronous call using your Glide Ajax? So we will use getXML wait. If it is a asynchronous call, it will be getXML. So we will be making Ajax call to the server side to process your input, and then also pick up the output from your reusable script includes. Okay, so this is one important feature. Now I hope you are aware of it, like, how to build this particular script include. I need you to practice it, and purely this is a developer job role. Okay, but you need to know what is a script include, because tomorrow if you're, as I said, as an administrator also, if you are trying to make some operations, you need to know what is the script include, how is it useful, and you need to have at least, like, some idea. Okay, so with this team, is this clear? Like, what is a script include? How do we use it?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.